In the previous video, we have discussed about how calories, metabolism, basal metabolic rate, calories deficit, calories surplus, and homeostasis are related to one another. Not to mention that those are also quite important elements to be aware of when coming down to losing fat. If you still remember of what I said in the last video about the coupling of both muscle and fat tissue, either you are in a catabolic state or anabolic state is inevitable, then it's time for us to talk about how to lose fat while minimizing muscle loss, since experts have stated that an increase in muscle mass helps boosting our resting metabolism. In other words, it makes us to burn more calories. If you don't, click on the link in the description down below to watch that video. First of all, it is true that you can be in both catabolic state or anabolic state at the same time, which means that if you consume more calories than the calories you need for a day, including all activities you have done such as pacing, working out or jogging, you are in an anabolic state. In order for you to lose fat, you have to do the opposite way, which is to consume less calories than the calories you would need in a day so that you can put your body into the catabolic state. With that means you have to be in caloric deficit in order for you to break down your fat cells and achieve your weight loss. Knowing your BMR is a key in controlling your calories intake. There are many different kinds of calories calculator using different formula for different purposes out there available on the internet. You have to keep in mind that the data you got from the calories calculator is not always the exactly calories intake you will be needing. More often it's just acting as a guideline. Thus, for the purpose of this video, simple calories calculator such as calculator.net would be good enough to calculate out your BMR. I would leave the link to the website in the description down below. Now, let's say you found out that your BMR is 2000 calories a day. What does that mean? It means that in order for you to maintain your body weight while you are at rest, you need 2000 calories a day to do so. Therefore, in order for you to be in a calorie deficit, you have to consume less than 2000 calories a day so that your body could start deciding to use your stored fat and a percentage of your muscles as your energy, and that's when you start to lose weight. There are two things to be kept in mind on the above scenario. First, we are taking your BMR as the base of losing weight. To be very honest, you probably wouldn't stay on your bed 24 hours without moving. Thus, taking your BMR as your final guideline to be staying in a calorie deficit would lead you to consuming lesser than the amount of calories you actually need to lose fat. This leads us to the next thing, which is not having the correct amount of calories for you to stay in a calorie deficit, which will lead your body into not only turning your stored fat as your energy, but also increasing the rate of your muscles being broken down, which leads to a decrease in muscle mass. Let alone saying that consuming too less calories would dramatically cause your metabolism to go down. Remember, losing weight is not the same as losing fats. We can eliminate these problems by listening to your body. Here's what you should do. You need to consume less calories than you burn by using your calculated BMR as a guideline for a week. Throughout that week, you are required to weigh yourself out every day and take your weight down on a piece of paper. Your weighing session should be performed right after you wake up from your bed. This is when you can figure out the net weight of your body because you don't have any undigested meals staying in your stomach, as you haven't eaten your breakfast, lunch or dinner, which would add some extra weight to your body if the food is not fully digested and excreted. Taking weight you got for that week, sum them up and divide by 7 to get your weight average on that week. Now, here's the thing. Compare the average weight with the weight before. What would you notice from that difference? Well, surely you will be seeing yourself losing a significant amount of body weight. Don't be too excited on the result. Keep in mind that a very high in percentage that your weight loss is coming from water weight. Now, if you are having a weight loss of more than 0.75 kg in a week, then you should be adjusting your calories intake by 25%. In this case, would be increasing as it starts to increase the rate of your muscles being broken down until you start seeing yourself having a weight loss of 0.75 kg or less in a week. This guideline is proven to be a better approach in minimizing your muscle loss when you are trying to lose fats. To further minimize your muscle loss while cutting on your fats, you also have to be aware of your macronutrients. Macronutrients are the main nutrients that make up the food we eat, which are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. A tip for you right here. 1 gram of carbohydrate and protein have 4 calories, while 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. There are a lot of methods out there for you to calculate your macronutrient, but here, I would suggest you to follow the order of calculating out your fat intake first, coming down to protein and the carbs at last. However, let's talk about protein first. When coming down to losing fat at the same time minimizing muscle loss, you have to maintain or even increase your protein intake. When cutting down your calories intake, none of the calories being cut should come from your protein. This is due to several benefits brought by consuming high amount of protein while you are in a dieting program. First, protein acts as a nutritional stimulus for maintaining your muscle when you are in a calorie deficit. In other words, you are sending signal to your body telling him not to use your muscle as a fuel for you to survive throughout the day. Second, protein is also the most satiating nutrient, which means it could make you feel full longer than carb or fat does to you, let alone saying that it is also the least likely nutrient to store as fat, even you are consuming them in excess. So, how many grams of protein you should be consuming? Need not to worry about. Experts recommend that heavy exercisers and athletes whom do generally exercise more than 10 to 12 hours per week should consume 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram. For an average dieter, 0.8 to 1.0 gram of protein per kilogram would be enough. For instance, if you are a heavy exerciser who has a body weight of 90 kilograms, you would need around 108 grams to 153 grams of protein in a day. With that being said, you still have to figure out how many grams of carbs and fat that you need in a day. Your fat should make up roughly 20% of your daily calories intake. While you are in a diet, you don't want your fat intake to be too low. Fat is needed in our diet as it provides us with fat-soluble vitamins and essential fatty acids. A diet with moderate amounts of unsaturated fats will help you to achieve or maintain good health. Using the BMR, which is 2000 calories a day as an example, to figure out how many grams of carbs, protein and fat are needed, you will have to figure out your fat intake first, since you have been told that your fat should make up 20% of your daily calories intake. By multiplying 2000 calories by 0.2 would give us 400 calories. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, so it tells you that 44 grams of fat is needed in a day. Now, coming down to protein. If you were a weightlifter and your body weight was 80 kilograms, you will have to consume 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram, which would be around 96 grams to 136 grams of protein. It would be 544 calories if you decided to consume 136 grams of protein. By subtracting the calories made up by protein and fat, it turns out to be only 1056 calories left in a day. Now, by using the same way as you calculated out your fat intake for your carbohydrates intake, you will know that you need to consume 264 grams of carbohydrates. You need to take note that in order for you to retain your muscles, you need to be exercising regularly. By constantly having your strength training, you are telling your body that those muscles you have are very important. This makes your body less likely to break down your muscle tissue that you already have. Study has shown that exercises such as high-intensity interval training, aka HIIT, strength training, and resistance training are effective at attenuating declines in muscle mass when in a caloric deficit. With that means, you should have your exercise no less than 3 times in a week in order for you to do so. So here's the quick view on all the information stated in this video. I know probably there will be a lot of stuff going on in your mind currently. Don't worry, you can still go through the video again and again until you grasp the information you need. If you still have any doubt, don't hesitate to leave your comment down in the comment section and I will do my best to answer your question. See you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.